Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and let me tell you what, and you'll see it by the end of this video. You couldn't pry my XRP out of my hands. Wait till you see what I'm going to show you at the end of this video, because it's all coming together in my mind now. I'm seeing around corners in this video, so just get ready. All right, let's check in on the prices. XRPLHQ.com, one of my sponsors. Boom, let's check it out. Prices are, it says minus 6.5, but I think that means plus 72 cents. So not anything crazy going on, but it doesn't matter. That's not what we're focused on here. You just stick with me to the end of this video. Okay, I forgot to show this earlier. Rosie Rios, who's on Ripple's board, she had put "Who is on the train now?" Incredible work by the entire Ripple team. She famously a while back said the train's already left the station. That's what she's referring to. I had forgotten to show this tweet. Now, today, in about 30 minutes, I'm going to tune into this. In about 30 minutes, Gary Gensler is going to be on Yahoo Finance, okay? I'm expecting this to be one of those layup interviews for Gary Gensler, but we'll see. Gary Gensler did go to like some kind of press club speech that he did earlier, and I got a clip right here for you where they ask him about the Ripple case. We're getting to that. Now, this is interesting. This is an interesting tweet. This Tony Valentino, he says, Gensler in front of the Senate this week, a friend of XRP to emerge, back to the Gensler MIT days, flip-flop, all part of the plan. I'm not saying that's what this is. I just think it's a pretty interesting tweet. Now Leonidas, who has not been around for a while, but he just popped back up. Remember, the Bank of America came up this morning, and he's going back and showing you something else about, if you've been in XRP, in the XRP community for the last few years, you know that Bank of America kept popping up to the top, several different things. HSBC was one of them. We'll get to that here shortly. Strap in, okay? But here's a clip about Bank of America from back in the day.
Liquidity enables developers globally to support numerous use cases, from DeFi, payments, consumer applications. And you don't need anybody's permission to interact with the XRP ledger, right? It's a public good. It's an open source, decentralized, there aren't administrators. You just submit transactions, and everybody who participates executes them. It's so fast and so simple. I'm not making this up. I've had developers contact me with concerns when everything was fine, because their payments were so fast, so cheap and easy. They were concerned that they couldn't possibly be doing it right. They're like, wait, no, it says it's confirmed. I must not have checked right because it's only been a couple of seconds. No, it's that fast. It's that cheap. It's that easy.
He says, reminder, Bank of America included in the examples of XRP use cases for remittances and small payments back in November 2021. All right. Then here's a great clip. Jeremy Hogan deserves all sorts of credit. Let me refresh that. He had put out a video the other day, and this is a good clip from his video about the significance of the XRP army and what happened.
Because you and the other amicus made her aware of what was at stake. John Deaton and the 75,000 of you that got involved saved yourself. I mean, the other amicus also, and I'm also not trying to minimize the top-notch legal work by Ripple's attorneys, but I will go to my grave believing this would have been a different result without the amicus participation. That without your participation in this case, the judge would have punted on the secondary market sales issue.
Ah, shoot. I was trying to go follow Jeremy Hogan because it showed that I didn't follow him, which wasn't true.
Go to my grave believing this would have been a different result without the amicus participation. That without your participation in this case, the judge would have punted on the secondary market sales issue and left you in limbo along with thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people. So good on you. So in summary, the order by Judge Torres punishes Ripple to the tune of $700 million or something. It lets them completely off the hook for over $1 billion more. finds that the buyer of an asset must be aware of who he is buying from in order for there to be an investment contract, and states that secondary market sales of a digital asset are not sales of securities. She punishes Ripple a little, saves you and me, and sticks a big hole in the SEC's litigation vote regarding digital assets and control of exchanges, all in the best way possible to make the decision as appeal-proof as possible.
Appeal-proof.
Wow. At first I didn't get it 100%, but now I think it's genius.
Appeal-proof. That's important. Now, here's Gary Gensler today. Gary's gone viral. This is a question from the audience about the Ripple law, the Ripple ruling. Here's what Gary said.
How does the federal court ruling last week in the Ripple case impact your stance toward digital asset regulation? Does it inject urgency into the need for federal legislation to clarify regulatory oversight of this industry?
Look, our mission remains exactly what I spoke about earlier, about investor protection, promoting capital formation, and the markets in the middle. This is a recent decision, just a handful of days ago. We were pleased from that decision, recognizing the importance of protecting investors on the institutional investors in that, and that the court movement with regard to fair notice, and while disappointed on what they said about retail investors, we're still looking at it and assessing that opinion.
Okay, so now we know Ripple's looking at it and assessing it, and we know that the SEC's looking at it and assessing it. Now, it's important that you understand, from the time, I cover this every day, from the time that this ruling came down until now, I have never heard anybody use the word settlement, okay, until today. Over and over and over, I heard it today, okay? And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. This is Linda, actually, I got this, it's in this conversation. I was listening to Linda Jones and Joe Indoso. Joe Indoso's from Link2. He's the COO of Link2. And just so you know, Joe Indoso, he's got Ripple private equity listed, so he has to talk to the people at Ripple all the time in order because to buy the shares, they actually have to deal with Ripple. So these guys actually know him, but they kept using the word settlement. I can't remember if it's in this clip, but you need to hear this clip also, because he's talking about why Ripple will ultimately, he thinks that it's crazy for them to do anything but go IPO, and why he's talking about why they're going to go IPO in the United States and how that'll work.
Okay, well then if they're...
I'm going to count the number of times I hear the word settlement in this, and then I'll tell you what I'm getting at.
Negotiating right now for a settlement.
One.
How likely is it that an IPO might be part of that settlement? And if it's not part of that settlement,
three.
Then how are they ever going to get approved for an IPO as long as Gary Gensler's there?
Well, just the nature of the process is that you can't make the IPO, the registration statement, part of the settlement, right? You've got to go through that. It's a separate ministerial process that you go through with the SEC. And what you've got to do is settle this case first.
Wow.
And then you can file. You can't file that registration statement until this case gets settled with the SEC.
But it sounded like he didn't even want to file because he felt it wouldn't be approved.
Well, yeah, he for all intents and purposes, it won't be, right? Until you resolve and reach a settlement with the SEC, which is the reason why he doesn't want to even ask for it, right? The tack is to say, well, we don't need to raise additional money in the capital market, which is true, by the way. The reason why they want an IPO is not because they need the money, the additional capital today. The reason why they want to do the IPO is in order to get liquidity for all of these investors and shareholders that have been tied up in the company for so very long.
That's right.
And think about that, right? Who are all the biggest investors and shareholders in the company? With the exception of SBI, they're all American.
Right.
David, Arthur, Brad, Chris, they're all American. You look at all the VCs other than SBI, they're all American. Why in the world would those people want their liquidity through a foreign exchange? And those are the people that are represented on the board.
Yeah.
Right? Today, if you guys want to buy a foreign company, you don't have to go to a foreign exchange. You can do it here in the States. I mean, I own Volkswagen stock. I own Samsung stock. I own British Petroleum. Do I have accounts at those foreign exchanges, foreign brokers? No. Why? If you look at every big economy in the world, China even, you take their top 10 companies, they're all dual listed in the States, or they have ADRs on U.S. exchanges. In either case, you can buy any big foreign company of note on U.S. exchanges. Why? Because all those people realize that this is where the liquidity is maximized. This is where they get the best valuation. So yes, they will list in their home exchange, but they'll also make sure their stock is on U.S. exchanges. So if you're a U.S. company, why would you want to do the opposite? All your foreign counterparts are coming here. So I'm just a firm believer that this is more negotiation than reality. Because when you look at the actual practicalities of it, there's not a lot to be gained by moving the company or by listing overseas.
Okay, so I counted them. 7 times they mentioned the word settlement, which I had not even heard pop up until now. All right, and I stay pretty tuned into this. So what that means is post-judgment settlement, okay? Now let me tell you what, because we've all gotten a lot of teaching in the law in the course of this case, and one of the things I remember specifically, if you remember, the discussion came up back when this video was put out. This is when Charles Hoskinson thought he was hearing that there was going to be something worked out, or he was hearing that the decision would come out. And I always thought what he was really hearing is that there would be a settlement. And the attorneys that I remember saying this, because I'm not one, was that if you have a post-judgment settlement, okay, or any kind of settlement, that's what makes it only apply to Ripple and XRP. So a post-judgment settlement, and remember what Katie Hawn said, and what a minute ago Jeremy Hogan said, that this thing was made appeal-proof. And then Katie Hawn last night, had the write-up where she said that this wouldn't be, she didn't think it would be appealed, because if they did appeal it and the SEC lost, it would ruin their enforcement agenda against everybody else. So what you're talking about, folks, is a post-judgment settlement, which would mean that XRP is the only thing with regulatory clarity. But I haven't played the money clip for you yet, folks. Here's the money clip. I got on this Twitter Spaces with Link to, and I asked Joe Indoso this question, and wait till you hear his answer. And remember, this is a guy that knows the people at Ripple. He has to, because he has to get shares from them in order to sell them on the Link to platform. Listen to this.
In my experience, they say any good attorney never puts someone on the stand and asks a question unless they already know the answer to it. Well, Stuart Alderati is a pretty measured guy, and it really struck me when he did that article, when he was in that article in CNBC today, where he said he believes that U.S. banks will begin to use XRP. And when I read it, I was sitting there thinking, this guy is not the type of guy that says something like this unless he already knows. So my question for you, Joe, on that is, do you think that there's going to be some U.S. bank announcements coming for use of XRP?
Yes, I don't know in what time frame. I would imagine it would be after there's a settlement with the SEC, just knowing, banks and how risk averse they are. But you're right to pinpoint Stu as having made that statement, because, if you look at Stu's background, he actually worked at one of the largest global banks, HSBC. And that's a bank that's heavily involved in the international payment system as well. And they're the largest processor of trade letters of credit around the world. And so I wouldn't be surprised if, other than the U.S. bank, HSBC also is one of the adopters of this technology going forward.
Of XRP. Folks, at the beginning of today, I thought that Bank of America was going to use XRP. At the end of the day, I think Bank of America and HSBC are going to use XRP. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that if they do nothing else, they need to hear what I just played on this. Just refer them to my YouTube video. Thanks for listening.